Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
I'm the sports professor, Rick Horrow, and welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard. If you give us an hour each week, we'll tell you some things you may not know about sports business, law, marketing, endorsements, but make it fun. Serious show that really doesn't take itself too seriously. Let me tell you a story. It was the mid-'70s. I was full of myself. I got into Harvard Law School, and I knew I was going to practice law, but I didn't know what. And sports was a passion of mine. And I asked the dean of the law school if he would let me write a paper on sports law. His answer, what the hell is that? Well, we've come a long way since then. I had to win a squash game against an 84-year-old dean to get permission, to get a hall pass, to go to all the games, to write a paper. And then Harvard Law allowed me to teach a sports law and sports business class, and there it is. The bottom line is $1 trillion a year business, and even more than that, teams, leagues, coaches, athletes, endorsements. 60% of all of the ink in papers, if you read papers, and now all of the internet space, is devoted to the business of sports. And frankly, our job is to make it interesting, so you take away from the hour things you may not have seen before. Bust, boom, and hope, a regular feature for us. The bad, the good, and the hopeful in the economy. 2015's biggest bust, the 1-yard line late error in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Pete Carroll elects to throw the ball instead of using beast mode. Look at the marketing changes from the Patriots upward and the Seahawks downward. 2015 boom, Stephen Curry, MVP, wins the Warriors' great streak. And hope, Under Armour with Jordan Spieth and Curry and Romo and Brady. Look how they're moving forward. 2016, bust, Manziel, boom, tremendous stadium rights deals all over with new facilities in L.A. we take a look at. And hope, the Warriors going for the record. We'll deal with that stuff every week and even more. And by the way, week 1, a blockbuster in my estimation. Gary Bettman leads off the show, the longest tenured commissioner in sports today, 16 years at the NHL. Senator John McCain, an honor to interview him, not only a senator since 1987, but used sports to get him through the darkest days in Hanoi and otherwise. And Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton, on the heels of the national championship game and otherwise, why Phoenix is well suited to host mega events. You guys have a chance to tell us what else you want from the business and the aspects of sports. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a couple of minutes.
Sports Byline's library of more than 12,000 interviews is a treasure. I'm Ron Barr, and we want your help in protecting, sharing, and continuing to build this sports interview treasure. We've launched a GoFundMe campaign, so please go to sportsbyline.com/funding and donate so you can be a part of preserving and continuing to build this unique collection of sports interviews. Everyone who donates receives a link to a special commemorative collection of the Sports Byline Interview Library. Thank you for your support and help.
Looking to get away this winter? Visit the charming bayside town of Tiburon, located just minutes from San Francisco. The Lodge at Tiburon is steps from the ferry docks and nestled among Tiburon's upscale boutiques, enticing cafes, and unique galleries. Dine at award-winning Tiburon Tavern, serving innovative dishes prepared with ingredients grown in our very own garden. Join us at the Lodge at Tiburon and create long-lasting memories. Winter specials from $159 a night. Call 1-877-614-6068 or go to lodgeattiburon.com. Are you wasting hundreds of dollars each year on contact lenses? Would you like to be able to see clearly again without reading glasses? Make the smart choice with IQ Laser Vision. Offering locations throughout California, Dr. Robert Lin and his staff at IQ Laser Vision have performed over 40,000 LASIK procedures. LASIK is also as affordable as your daily cup of coffee at less than $2 per day. See for yourself at IQLaserVision.com. That's IQLaserVision.com.
IQ Laser Vision.
I wish I could fall asleep.
Jennifer had a stressful day, and now her mind is spinning at bedtime.
I have a big day tomorrow.
It's time for new Unisom Sleep Minis. The tiny capsules are non-habit forming and work fast. They're the little help busy people need to get a good night's sleep and wake recharged.
Good night.
New Unisom Sleep Minis. A stressful day deserves a restful night. Use as directed. Active ingredient diphenhydramine hydrochloride.
This morning, Sandra Sneed wrote a joyful status. This miss is a soon-to-be Mrs. Over 300 friends liked her engagement post, and it got 76 comments. Sandra, you're one popular gal. Geico also has a comment on your status. Did you know you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance in just 15 minutes by switching to Geico? Just a way we're trying to help cushion a nice little nest egg for the future misses. Hashtag getting hitched. Hashtag savings.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
How long would you wait for your shower to get hot? How long would you wait for your cell phone to fully charge? How long would you wait to get relief from your nasal congestion? If you're congested now and you want powerful relief now, use Afrin No Drip. Afrin starts working in seconds and keeps working for 12 hours. So, why wait? When you can start to get relief in seconds with Afrin. Afrin, powerful congestion relief without the wait. Use as directed. For more information, go to Afrin.com.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. First up, honored to have Commissioner Gary Bettman, the longest tenured commissioner in major sports since 1993. Cornell and New York University alum, and 2014 Sports Business Journal Executive of the Year. Honored to talk to Gary Bettman as the debut guest of the show. Debut show. Can't think of anybody better to be my debut guest on my debut show. The Dean of all commissioners, good friend, NHL commissioner, fantastic entrepreneur, and got to be the best commissioner in sports, Gary Bettman.
That's awfully wordy. How about we just get down to the substance? Congratulations on your new show.
Thank you, sir. Do you remember the song I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston?
Yes, I do.
Well, let me tell you why it's important. When you were appointed as commissioner February 193, that was the song that was number one on the charts. It makes us feel both old, doesn't it?
Actually, in the quiet moments when you and I together, you sing it to me on a regular basis.
You are a senior statesman in the league and senior statesman in sports. And when you went to Cornell undergrad and you were just getting through your career, did you ever think that you'd ever be running a $4 billion hockey operation and be the longest-standing commissioner in the sport and longest-standing commissioner in North American sports?
Well, you know, the answer to that question is very easy. If I were to say yes, you'd either think I was lying or insane. But the fact of the matter is no. You know, I went to Cornell. I was in the School of Industrial and Labor Relations, had a wonderful, wonderful undergraduate experience there, went to NYU Law School, and went to one of the big New York firms. I had started out to be a lawyer. I was always a hockey fan. I was always a sports fan. But I never imagined that this is what things would turn into. I think the most important thing for any commissioner, and it's something that I learned both as a lawyer at a big New York firm and working for David Stern, is you've got to be thoroughly prepared. There's no substitute for hard work and preparation and knowing the subject matter that you're dealing with. The great news about being in sports, particularly being at the NHL, is you have an opportunity to forge relationships with wonderful people, and that is what makes the job exciting, stimulating, and fun.
All right, you can do it. Give me your 30-second elevator speech assessment of the overall health of the game.
The game itself, what the players do night in and night out, has been nothing short of spectacular. Our competitive balance is probably the best, not only in our history, but in all professional sports, and you're witnessing that in these incredible playoffs. And the business of the game has never been stronger, never been bigger, and that's a testament, first and foremost, to having the best fans in all of sports.
All right, let's get specific. Let's talk about TV. You got a couple of Game 7s. You got a weekend to yourself. NBC TV is happy. Rogers is happy. Canada is happy. International is happy. What's up with TV?
Television's good. It's making everybody happy. The coverage of the game, particularly in the United States, has never been more extensive. NBC does a phenomenal job, both principally on NBC and on the NBC Sports Network. And in the early stages of the playoffs, they use their other outlets to ensure, for the first time in our history over the last 3-4 years, that every game of the playoffs is televised on a national basis in the United States. Their promotion, their coverage, everything they do is first rate, and it's brought the game to more people in the United States than ever before. In Canada, we are the preeminent television property, and Rogers is doing a phenomenal job giving fans wall-to-wall coverage. We are very fortunate to have two great partners for our national packages, both in Canada and the United States.
Well, let's talk about Canada. You've got three of the top teams net worth-wise. You've got enlightened management, exchange rate coming around. You got good play. How have you turned it around in Canada?
Well, first of all, we don't pay a whole lot of attention to the Forbes numbers on the valuations because they don't have access to the financials of any of the clubs. It's a bit of a shot in the dark. I suppose, if anything, it shows trending, and the trending is that franchise values are higher than they've ever been. When people focus on our game, when you look at it in Canada, there's nothing comparable, I think, for any sport anywhere in the world to the relationship that our Canadian fans have to our game. It's almost breathtaking to see that level of connection. And while we have great fans throughout the world and great fans, avid fans, I think more avid than any other sport in the United States, the fact is our fan base isn't as large as a percentage of the population in the U.S. as it is in Canada, but the fan base is growing. It's growing day by day. And that's a testament to the fans we have, to new technology, to what NBC has been doing, and what we do with our sponsors and business partners.
Which is more important to you, the fact that the revenue was about $400 million when you took over in '93 to nearly $4 billion now, that franchises are worth nearly $500 million now, up 20%, or that you've had labor peace since 2005?
I have a saying that drives people crazy around here, that everything's related to everything else. The fact is we were in '93 a little over $400 million. We're approaching roughly $4 billion. Do the math. We've been talking about what the cap is likely to be. So, it's in that ballpark. But the fact of the matter is everything starts with the health of the game on the ice. And we have a system that works, that creates incredible competitive balance, that gives fans of whatever team you want to root for the hope that your team can make the playoffs, and every team has that hope. And once you make the playoffs, anything can happen, and that's what we're witnessing. We're getting better. We're better able to connect fans to the game. We're getting more exposure and promotion, particularly in the United States, than ever before. And so all the pieces of the puzzle are important when you're growing the game and the business of the game.
Is 30 teams too many, or just about right?
All of our teams are in the best shape they've ever been in. Couples still have some work to do, but our ownership situation is the strongest. Franchises are the most stable they've ever been. We're getting expressions of interest from a number of places, most notably Seattle, Las Vegas, and Quebec City. We're listening to the expressions of interest. We haven't decided that we're going to do anything necessarily with expansion. We're not even in a formal expansion process. We're just continuing to listen to the expressions of interest.
And by the way, I remember from the days when you were with the NBA and we were working hard on trying to get an NBA franchise in Miami, which you successfully helped us do. When you say X, it's not X minus, it's not X minus 3, it is X. And people ought to understand that about Gary Bettman. Let's talk international. You expanding, obviously, across the pond, but what about the Olympics? What's your process today?
We haven't given much thought to the Olympic process. We're currently focused on bringing back the World Cup, which we'll do in September of 16, and that'll be a great tournament. We do international efforts, events, in conjunction with the Players Association. We're joint ventures in doing that. And over the last few years, until Don Fehr took over the union as executive director, there was a lot of instability, so we weren't able to pursue many of the initiatives that we wanted to. Now that the union is stabilized, we're working together, and I think the World Cup will be the foundation that's our jumping-off point for doing a whole lot of other things. We're a sport with a great history and tradition relative to international play and international competition, more so than perhaps any of the other North American sports leagues. Roughly 25% of our players, some of the most elite players in the world, come from outside of North America, and we're going to make sure that our reach continues to grow outside of North America.
You're known as a franchise bulldog. You save franchises that are worth saving. You'll go to bat for those markets like Phoenix, but it doesn't always work. Look at Atlanta going to Winnipeg. In that context, what about the Florida Panthers?
Florida's in a rebuild. There were some fundamental things that had to be addressed and fixed. And the good news is, under Vinny Viola's ownership, the commitment and the resources are there to put the right things in place. The team is more competitive than it's been in some time, and the response from the community has been quite strong.
So, which criticism do you find most unfair, even if it's inaccurate, that you've attempted to Americanize the game to the detriment of Canada, or that you expand into the Sun Belt at the expense of more traditional hockey markets in Canada or the northern U.S.?
You know, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. The fact of the matter is we're trying to make the game stronger, bigger, everywhere it is. And, you know, the fact is I was instrumental in instituting the Canadian Assistance Program in the late 90s, early 2000s when there were problems with the Canadian franchises. We want the game strong wherever it is, and, you know, we're excited about the future prospects of our game everywhere, but we focus foremost on the places where we are, which are Canada and the United States, and whatever else we may do, including worldwide, we know where the priority is.
So if you were commissioner for a day and you could wave a magic... You are commissioner for longer than a day. So if you wave a magic wand and you didn't have to worry about building consensus, what major change would you make?
I don't know. I mean, the fact of the matter is that's fantasy land. There are no magic wands. Things require consensus. There's no magic bullets in anything. It's all about hard work. It's a great time to be a hockey fan, and that's what drives me more than anything else.
Just a couple more. So are you traveling less and enjoying life more?
Traveling lots and enjoying life. I love what I do. And while travel's part of what I do, it's not something that I find to be unduly burdensome. It's fun to get out, see how organizations present their games in their own arenas, to interact with fans everywhere we go. That's part of the fun of what I get to do.
Where is Gary Bettman 5 years from now?
If I feel the way I do today, I think there's a song that goes like that. I'll still be doing the same thing. I love what I do. It's fun. It's interesting. It's a great challenge, and there are great opportunities. And as long as the Board of Governors is happy with me, and I have the same level of interest and energy and commitment, then we'll keep doing this.
Thanks for doing the debut show with me.
Thanks for having me, and good luck.
Up next, U.S. Senator John McCain talking about sports, politics, and life. Coming up on Beyond the Scoreboard.
Attention catheter users. Stop reusing dirty catheters. Catheters are now disposable. Recent changes in Medicare now allow patients up to 200 disposable catheters a month, all at little or no cost to you. We bill Medicare. Put an end to the mess and risk of infection by using old catheters. Just use a catheter once and throw it away. Eliminate trips to the pharmacy and insurance paperwork. Shipping is free. Receive a free catheter sample by calling and joining Medical Direct Club right now. Call 1-800-399-9018 to receive your free catheter sample discreetly delivered right to your door. That's 1-800-399-9018. 1-800-399-9018. Call 1-800-399-9018 today. Deductibles and copays apply. Free catheter samples require qualified membership. Sample will arrive with 90-day order.
This family is at home, but they won't be answering the door. They know that the pounding on the door is a process server from the court waiting to hand them foreclosure documents. So instead of enjoying the home they worked so hard to afford, they sit hiding in the dark.
Mom, what was that?
But it doesn't have to be this way. This family can save their home, but they must act fast. Call Allied State Foreclosure Solutions at 800-274-7312. If you're being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, missed a payment on your mortgage, been a victim of a predatory loan, or are upside down on your home, it's critical that you call Allied State Foreclosure Solutions now. 800-274-7312. Allied State Foreclosure Solutions has an attorney in your area that will meet and speak with you. You can stop the foreclosure process, lower your monthly mortgage payments, save your home and your credit, but you must act now. Call 800-274-7312. 800-274-7312. Not available in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. Honored to have U.S. Senator John McCain, senator in Arizona since 1987. U.S. Navy, 1958 to 1981. Famous unscheduled stop at the Hanoi Hilton, where he basically learned more about sports and life. 7 children and an ongoing significant passion for sports. Senator McCain, it is truly an honor. Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Broadly defined, sports, entertainment as big business. A lot of specifics, but broadly defined, how do you view sports in this context?
Well, I view sports in this context, in the context of the Sherman Antitrust Act. In other words, they're able to have exclusive franchises in different locales in this country, and maybe even overseas over time. But that gives them a degree of immunity, but it also then does bring in the federal government into their business. Now, if they were not receiving the Sherman Antitrust Act protections and tax dollars to fund their expansions, their stadiums, etc., then I, as a United States Senator, would not be involved in any way. But when they take a taxpayers funded facility and decide that they're going to black out the area because they haven't sold out the stadium, then that's when I step in and say no. And so that's when one of my causes, and I'm sure it's made me very unpopular with some of the owners. In fact, I know it has been. But look, it is part of America. The Major League Sports is an integral part of America. I will never forget, as long as I live, years ago when I was in a Vietnamese prison camp, and I got some new prisoners in. The first thing we wanted to know is who won the Super Bowl. That was the first question that we asked these new guys. So it is, but with that kind of role that professional sports plays, they also have some obligations.
Let's segue into sports' economic development, if you don't mind. We're here at PIR, the Quicken Loans Heroes 500 happening, and the other issue of announcing a IndyCar race here. So there are 3 Super Bowl dimensioned economic impact weekends on a calendar year. In this context, you acknowledge and support the idea of sports as big business development.
Sports is not only big business. There's a certain prestige associated with having the 4 major professional sports here, franchises here. NASCAR, it isn't probably, we all agree that Daytona is probably the biggest NASCAR event, but PIR has become really very up there, and they're going to invest quite a bit of money to upgrade the facility here. And this, we have the Super Bowl sometimes, we have college playoffs, we have all kinds of great things here. But you know what the number 1 in attendance is every year? PIR. And people, it was interesting driving in today. It's sold out. There are people now scalping tickets. That shows the popularity that this sport has in this part of the country.
And nationally and internationally as well. So, and corporately, awareness from the kind of narrow perspective of the Valley, when you mention PIR, Avondale, Phoenix, thousands of times, it gets noticed by corporate world, but also by the world, the business world at large.
It gets recognized by the business world, but it's also, frankly, a source of pride for those of us that live in the Valley and in the state. It's nice to see the Arizona Cardinals, the Phoenix Coyotes, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and PIR is, if you sheer numbers, that's bigger than any of those single events. So we're very pleased to have PIR here in the Valley. It's been here a long time, and there's commitments to upgrade the facility here too as well.
Speaking of facility upgrades, and we're not going to micromanage it, but the whole idea of the political and public-private aspect of this. Mayors, political leaders always tell me that the easiest thing to understand but the hardest to quantify is the intangible spirit of bringing a team, having a team win, having a team succeed. How do you analyze that?
First of all, let me say in full disclosure, I would not like to see a single dime of taxpayers' dollars used to build any of these facilities. I just, maybe a tax write-off, but it is what it is. They have the exclusive franchise in the area, and they can always move. That's their right to do so. So we see taxpayer-financed stadiums. What do you think is going to happen out in Los Angeles here? We know it's inevitable. There's going to be at least one NFL franchise out there. I don't like it, but it is what it is. And to counterbalance that, it's a great source of pride to me to be in a state which is not a very large state, where so many people come, where so many events are held because they love the venue. Now the weather has something to do with that, but there's a lot of other places with good weather, and yet in Phoenix we get much more than our share, whether it be in college playoffs or whether it be a number of the other NBA. We're going to have the college NCAA championship here in Phoenix as well. So I'm proud, and it gives our citizens a great sense of pride that it's happening here, even if your mother-in-law comes to visit while that event is taking place.
Gives the mother-in-law something to do, and the person that's being visited something to do. Just one follow-up on that question, if you don't mind. The whole idea of public-private partnerships, you said maybe tax write-offs. We won't micromanage that either, but we know that there's been about $17 billion of public money spent over the last 20 years in a lot of different contexts. Infrastructure, for example, tax credits, increment dollars. So it's not an absolute prohibition. As you said, it is what it is. It's a technique. How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, for example, the one thing we need in America right now is an upgrade of our highways, bridges, etc. And yet in the Congress, there's a little hope now we may have a highway bill. We lurch from year to year with extensions of the old bill. Look, if there's anything that's vital, and I think, to the economy of the state of Arizona, is an upgrade of our infrastructure. So I'm not only not opposed to it, I'm proud that General President Eisenhower put together the first highway system that has made America so benefited financially because of it. And the greatest thing that could happen to Arizona is a highway that goes from the Mexico-Arizona border all the way to Canada. That's my dream.
John McCain, the sports fan, obviously you go and watch as many different sporting events as you possibly can. So years from now, the plate is full with going to as many sporting events as are out there.
Yes, I am perhaps the classic mediocre high school and college athlete that engaged in all sports, so therefore has an incredible appreciation for those with the talents that excel at it. And some of my heroes, frankly, Larry Fitzgerald, Shane Doan. We've had some really great athletes and nice guy athletes as well.
What is John McCain doing 10 years from now?
John McCain is probably down at the old soldiers' home waiting for someone to come and blow the cavalry charge so I can get into the fight again. My hero is Teddy Roosevelt, and Teddy Roosevelt gave a great speech one time called "The Man in the Arena." I've loved being in the arena.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and Senator McCain, thank you. And just one more parenthetical comment. We're here in a rain delay at the race today. Mm-hmm. You do have the ability to change the weather like the reputation?
Actually, we are so glad when it rains around here. My predecessor, a guy named Barry Goldwater, once said that in Arizona we have so little water the trees chase the dogs. So we're grateful for any rain we ever get.
Thank you, sir. It was an honor. Thank you very much. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Beyond the Scoreboard, up next, Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton.
You know that non-bank private equity business loans are not for every business. However, billions of dollars have already funded across this greatest nation on God's green earth. This is Michael Medved for BusinessLoansNow.com, where they focus mostly on monthly cash flow and not personal credit. If your business could use funding in less than 48 hours, I encourage you to visit BusinessLoansNow.com to find out how much your business could qualify to get.
Helping your business is what we do. BusinessLoansNow.com.
Are you wasting hundreds of dollars each year on contact lenses? Would you like to see clearly again without reading glasses? LASIK treats only the surface of the eye and is healthier and safer than wearing contact lenses long term. Dr. Robert Lin had LASIK himself and still sees 20/20 and has performed over 40,000 LASIK procedures over the last 18 years. Find out more at IQLaserVision.com. That's IQLaserVision.com.
IQ Laser Vision.
I just feel like something's missing.
I know. What we had was so big.
And warm. And bright.
And yellow.
Oh, I really miss the sun.
No sun? No problem. Centrum, the most trusted multivitamins, now have more of the vitamin D3 you need. Get the vitamin D you could be missing this winter with Centrum multivitamins. Now our highest level of D3 ever.
There are times being a genius would really come in handy.
This is Houston. Your oxygen levels will be depleted unless you put the valve modulator into the auxiliary gauge after you have calibrated the flexternal matrix, not the external matrix. Do not touch that one.
I'm just the cook.
But thankfully, you don't need to be a genius to do your own taxes. Because with TurboTax, you can snap a photo of your W-2 with your smartphone, and it will automatically put your information into all the right forms. Intuit TurboTax. Taxes done smarter.
The new year means incredible new deals at Lumber Liquidators, and that means huge savings on the gorgeous hardwood floor you've always wanted. Choose from more than 400 top-quality floors and the latest styles, like the classic look of oak. This week, get pre-finished oak from just 99 cents. That's 50% off. Or get the hottest looks in whitewashed flooring. Our new Aspen Breeze white oak laminate is now an unbeatable $189. For a limited time, get 20% off beautiful wood look tile packages. Great deals on all engineered hardwood and more from just 59 cents. Plus, get special financing. These deals won't last. Visit lumberliquidators.com to find a store near you.
Hi, you've reached Burger King. To leave a message, press 1.
Hey, Burger King, it's Mike calling again. I called a billion times about the burgers and the chicken and the flame grilling. My big idea. Call me back. I'm here at home.
Michael, didn't we talk about you trying the new flame grilled chicken burger from Burger King? A savory flame grilled chicken patty topped with veggies on a toasted bun. Now just 2 for $5. Or mix and match with another delicious sandwich, part of the 2 for $5 deal. The new flame grilled chicken burger, only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard with Phoenix, Arizona Mayor Greg Stanton. Mayor since 2012, big sports fan, Marquette undergrad and University of Michigan Law School, talking about mega events in the Valley of the Sun.
In our ongoing business series, we always talk about mayors and how successful they are as opinion leaders. Mayor Greg Stanton, Phoenix, entering your second term after an unprecedented wave of approval after your first term. You excited about the next 4 years in Phoenix?
Well, I get to be the mayor of the greatest city in the United States of America, and for me, that means 4 more years that I don't have to practice law. So that's great. Yeah, I love being mayor.
Well, and Marquette and Michigan law. So obviously, there is a basketball background in your future and your perspective as well.
Well, we just had a celebration of the Final Four, which is coming to Phoenix the other day, and I reminded all the coaches I still have 4 years of eligibility left.
That's good. Well, it's probably too late, and you probably have other things to do now, too, anyway. But the bottom line of all of this is in a bigger context, is basically sports as business and economic development. And you went from, in the 70s, having no Major League professional sports franchises, in essence, to 4 plus major golf tournaments, plus 3 now auto races, and frankly, significant economic impact, national championships, Super Bowls, etc. It's evolutionary, but give us your retrospective and kind of your take on all of that.
Well, you've described it exactly right. Phoenix is the fastest growing big city in the United States of America. We've been that way post-World War II. We're now, believe it or not, the 5th largest city in the United States of America. And I think the major league sports franchises were a little slow to catch up to how big we were, but once they came, they came. So the Phoenix Suns were our first major league sports franchise, and they've been here since the late 1960s, early 1970s. But then more recently, we've gotten the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals, and even NHL hockey in the desert, if you can believe that. But in addition to all those other sports you mentioned, we have that Phoenix Open, the FBR Open, the Waste Management Open. It changes names over time. It's a massive event. We get on the Saturday of that golf tournament, almost 200,000 people on that golf course. 200,000 in one day. It's incredible. NASCAR, what we do at Phoenix International Raceway, 2 NASCAR races, just announced recently, a IndyCar race. People don't have no idea the massive economic impact, positive economic impact on our community. Phoenix is a great sports town. What we do with the Fiesta Bowl and college football is amazing. So the list could go on, but it is a great thing for our community that we're able to host these mega events.
And you're obviously a civic cheerleader, but you're basically a business development guy. And if this were the relocation of widget factories, people would get it. There seems to be unnecessary controversy attached to spending public investment to generate bids or facilities to generate the economic impact. You're out in front of that. Valley's seen it. Talk about the positives.
Well, on that particular issue, I'd only say, look, anytime we're spending public money, we should have a good, thorough debate about whether it is worth it. But let me just give you an example. This community hosted the Super Bowl in early February of 2015. Yes, it was one football game at a stadium not even located in Phoenix. It's in Glendale, our sister city. But the 4 nights before that, we turned our downtown into the biggest party anyone has ever seen. We got 1 million people to visit downtown Phoenix, many of them from out of town. Many of them were people who live here in the Valley that hadn't been to our downtown in a long time, and they got to rediscover their own downtown. That's going to pay massive long-term dividends. Many decision makers of companies, of course, come to your city to experience it during a Super Bowl. If you give them a positive experience from the moment they walk off that airport to when they visit your local hotels and other hospitality to the restaurants and all the other experience that they have, when they have that positive experience, they are way more likely to consider your city when they're making decisions about moving operations or bringing jobs to your community. So make no mistake, there's an immediate impact of the game, and that's like a $700 million impact. There's a longer-term impact in terms of people rediscovering your city that otherwise wouldn't have come here, and longer-term, obviously, having decision makers and companies have a very positive experience. That's going to pay long-term dividends for our community, and that's just one example.
And another example, the timing is early November. It's the NASCAR semifinals, big Valley Economic Impact Weekend. But the interesting thing about NASCAR and PIR, and now the IndyCar, the Phoenix Grand Prix, is that there are 3 mega events sequenced on a calendar.
It is amazing. Phoenix International Raceway has a massive positive economic impact on our community. We had one NASCAR race for a long time. We had lost IndyCar. And with Brian Sperber and the leadership team out at PIR, to be able to be one of the few cities in the country that have 2 NASCAR races. And we're talking tens of thousands of fans, close to 100,000 fans that are out there. Not just one day. They're out there for the entire week. It's an amazing. They create their own city, if you will, out at PIR. And that spending benefits our local community. The hotels fill up as well. And then to add, obviously, which we just added, it's going to be April of next year, an IndyCar race. So a third major race at this track. Each one of those races has almost the equivalent of a Super Bowl. That's the level of impact that those NASCAR and IndyCar races have on a community. So whether you like car racing or not, it may not be your cup of tea, but if you live in this community, it benefits you economically, and it's a great thing for this community.
And what about the other aspects as well, not just the hardcore economic impact? Television exposure, global awareness as well. NBC, the worldwide television for the NASCAR races, but also television of all of the major events too. Sometimes hard to quantify, but nevertheless really important.
Of course, and well, we can somewhat quantify it in that we can see the bookings to our wonderful resorts, and tourism is a huge business here in this community. Immediately after those mega events, we can see that it has that positive impact. But I want to make another point, and that is when you're a community that can show that you can be the best host of the biggest sporting events on planet Earth, like the college football championship, where we are this year, like the Super Bowl, like the Final Four, like NASCAR, like major PGA tournaments and bowl games. The list goes on and on. That gives corporate decision makers the feeling that you can host other events of the highest magnitude. I predict that we're going to be the host city of one of the major political conventions the next time around. We should have been this time around. We're going to get it the next time around. A decade ago, Phoenix wasn't in the conversation. Using sports, showing our ability to host events, sporting events, and doing the best job possible lends itself to other major events being willing to consider your community.
Keen competition for scarce resources amongst cities whose mayors profess to get along but would love to steal economic impact from one another. And there are very aggressive mayors, Greg Ballard of Indianapolis and others, who frankly can do all they can do but have less tourist-oriented infrastructure resources than you do, so it gives you the ability to build on what you've got.
Well, first off, I admire Mayor Ballard. I admire Indianapolis.
Very political, very well done.
What Indianapolis has done to support sports and especially the Olympic-type sports, amateur sports. I mean, they've done an incredible job. We can learn a lot from Indianapolis, a wonderful city. But it ain't Phoenix. I mean, this is heaven on earth. If you come here, especially in January for the Super Bowl, or again for January for the College Football Championship, February for the Super Bowl, other times where it might be very cold in other parts of the country, that's prime time in Phoenix, Arizona. So not only do we have the tourism infrastructure, the best hospitality, but literally the best weather in the United States of America, and that certainly is a competitive advantage. Not that I would ever use that against frosty, chilly, frozen Indianapolis. I would never do that.
Well, very well put, and I'm sure he has some arguments to use too, but they're not as many and they're not as significant. Talk about how it relates to facility development, modernization, and construction. No, PIR, for example, is looking for some modernization as well. Mm-hmm. They have the ability to factor in the economic impact of 3 major race weekends in bonding or financing plans, which I assume is important in the economic calculation as well.
Well, let me give you an example. We are in the time period of formulating the possibility of building a new sports arena in downtown Phoenix that would facilitate the Phoenix Suns to keep them in downtown Phoenix, possibly be the home of the Arizona Coyotes, who after 2 years are no longer under contract in their current arena. We'd love to get NHL hockey downtown. But make no mistake, to have competitive buildings that are modern and can compete for the best sporting events, also compete for the biggest concerts. We want to make sure that when Paul McCartney or U2 or Madonna comes to town, they're in downtown Phoenix. You can only do that if you have the most competitive buildings. So make no mistake, I know when people talk about arena financing, there is a perception, now wait a minute, you're putting ungodly amounts of money in the pockets of wealthy sports owners. But the truth is that a well-run building has events over 300 nights a year. That is great for our downtown. It's great for our downtown restaurants and hotels and art galleries and all the fun, exciting, vibrant things that are happening. We need a building that's competitive, not just for the sports, but for all the other activities that go along with that. A great building is going to be busy year-round.
Corporate decision makers, corporate hospitality, corporate activation, big race weekend in Avondale to do some of that as well. Very important part of the equation.
Oh, I'm telling you. And look, NASCAR fans, and that both the fans in the seats and the corporate fans. I mean, their loyalty to their individual drivers is something to behold. People will buy products based upon whether or not they're being sponsored by or supported by their particular favorite driver. It's a unique thing among sports marketing, how loyal the fan base is and the corporate base is to those drivers.
You have a unique perspective as the city with the largest population, certainly the kind of anchor, but you've got spring training facilities in Scottsdale and all over the valley. You've got the PIR in Avondale. You've got the stadium and an arena process and the existing arena in Glendale. How do you respect the political boundaries but yet understand that the region benefits from all of this?
Look, I'll give you the best example. The Super Bowl and then the upcoming college football championship. We hosted the Super Bowl last year. We're going to host the college football championship this year. The relationship looks great. I want Glendale to be hugely successful on game day when they host the game. But you're going to have tens of thousands of football fans visit this community, and they're going to be looking for a fun place to hang out. We are lucky enough to have the infrastructure for that in downtown Phoenix. So we're going to be hosting a college football game in our baseball stadium in downtown Chase Field, believe it or not, so a bowl game, so college fans can have that experience. Have a great party for 3 or 4 nights as we have major entertainment in our downtown area for free for tens of thousands of fans. And then on game day, they're going to go to Glendale. And some of the fans are going to celebrate in Scottsdale. And some of them are going to want to go to Tempe, which is the home of the ASU, Arizona State University, main campus. I want those cities to be successful too. So in my mind, we have to, when we host these big events, we have to operate as a team. We have to operate as a region. Yes, I have a unique responsibility as the mayor of the biggest city in the region, but fans are going to want to find their place, if you will, and many of them are going to choose Phoenix, many of them are going to go elsewhere, and I think that's great. We operate as a team, as we should, when it comes to hosting mega events.
Finally, well after this next term, I understand you're term limited, but you're not activity limited. You go back to your law practice and you run the world. What happens 10 years from now? Predict crystal ball wise. The Valley itself. What does it look like, and how important is sports in that?
Well, first off, we continue to grow. In 30 years, if we continue to grow at our current pace, we're going to be bigger than Chicago. If you can believe, we will be the 3rd biggest city in the United States of America.
Maybe the Cubs will win a World Series by then.
So I predict that Phoenix is going to grow, not just in size, but in quality of our economy, a more innovative economy, a more export-based economy. You'll see us in the regular rotation for Super Bowl, college football championship. You'll see us in the rotation for the Final Four and college basketball. All of the biggest events, you're going to see this city, this community be viewed as the best, not among the best community for hospitality and hosting the largest sporting events that the world has to offer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Greg Stan begins his second term. Thank you very much.
We're on our way.
Thanks.
Are you an inventor who would like to try to have an invention or idea patented and submitted to companies, but you don't know what to do next? Call for free information from InventHelp. InventHelp, a leading inventor service company, has been helping inventors since 1984 and has sales offices located in more than 60 cities nationwide. You'll want to talk to the company that has helped secure more than 7,000 invention patents. So call InventHelp. Even if you have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you'll still want to call InventHelp for free information. You'll find out how InventHelp may assist you in trying to patent your invention and submit it to companies. So call now.
Call InventHelp at 1-800-316-1738. That's 1-800-316-1738. Get your free information by dialing 1-800-316-1738. That's 1-800-316-1738. 1-800-316-1738.
When you struggle with credit card bills every month, you're not just in debt. Debt is all around you.
I see people every day that are on the brink. They're going to go over the edge, and at the bottom is bankruptcy, and we pull them back.
At the Debt Helpline, we're experts at helping you resolve your debt problems and become free of debt. We can help you pay off your debt and give you one lower monthly payment that you can afford.
You do get to consolidate your payments. You only have to worry about making one payment a month instead of making 3 or 4 or 5.
If you have $5,000, $10,000 or more in credit card bills, call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063. 800-957-6063. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-957-6063. 800-957-6063.
Are you a business owner or an individual who owes the IRS? Then be prepared to write down an important phone number. Do you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes? Do you need to file back tax returns? Are you dealing with bank levies and wage garnishments? It's time to deal with your IRS problem today. Call Certified Tax Representation now. Certified Tax Representation, Inc. represents clients just like you in all 50 states. They will contact the IRS on your behalf the same day that you become a client, and you can become a client immediately. It's time for you to face your IRS problems. Think about how great you're going to feel when you're represented by a company who's an advocate for you, who knows the law, who also will contact the IRS the same day you become a client. Call today for your free, no-obligation consultation. Call now, 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064. Not all cases are typical, and some may not qualify. The consultation is free, and so is the call, so call right now. 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Business show, serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. Now for the weekly segment we call Bust, Boom, and Hope. The bad, the good, and the hopeful in the economy. And you got to start with bust, and you obviously got to start with Johnny Manziel. Hasn't had the smoothest ride in his short-lived NFL career. Whether taking an impromptu trip to Vegas or missing a meeting, his name, Johnny Football, should be changed Johnny Arrogant, Self-Empowered, Self-Important, Over the Top. But that doesn't sell. But so what? LeBron James marketing agency LRMR jettisons him, as does Fenway Sports Management. Whether he showed up in Vegas under the alias Billy or not, he needs to get his off-field issues figured out if he ever wants to become a franchise quarterback. How about Boom? The world's most popular soccer team may have just gained a few more million followers this past weekend. A groundbreaking deal, English Premier League side Manchester United agreed to terms with Sina Sports to broadcast a 24-hour MUTV channel in China. Unprecedented behind-the-scenes access to the club, press conferences, Premier League, UEFA matches. Financial details not announced, but the development clearly marks China's interest and dedication to bringing one of the world's most popular and recognizable sports brands to its own turf. And finally, hope. The National Lacrosse League named longtime soccer executive Nick Sikiewicz as its new commissioner with the hope of expanding the league and increasing the sport's popularity. Marks his first job outside soccer, involved in Red Bull Stadium and the Philadelphia franchise, and he doesn't know lacrosse, but he says that might be a valuable asset. It'll be an out-of-the-box perspective, he said. I think we're going to need that. The NLL reminds him so much, he says, of where the MLS was 20 years ago. We'll have Nick on the show and see from time to time how he's doing. Well, that'll do it for Beyond the Scoreboard this week. We would like to thank our debut and premier guests, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton, and obviously an honor to have Senator John McCain on with us. If you like the show, let us know. If you don't and you want to suggest some things, let us know too. Tweet us at Rick Horrow. Look at us at horrowsports.com. Tune in weekly, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on Sports Byline Saturday morning, and on demand on iHeart and TuneIn. Rick Horrow, sports professor. Join us next week when once again we go Beyond the Scoreboard.